Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this planet. Welcome to the Career Doctor's conversation to cure your work life. So, thank you for joining us today, and our apologies for having to postpone from last week. But everything is always in divine timing. So, for some reason, it was meant to be delayed to this week. So, thank you so much for joining us here. So, these lives are here for you. And if you're here live, we'd love for you to say hi. The last time we actually streamed, there were some comments we didn't see. Actually, people told me they tried to comment and there was a couple comments we didn't see. So I hope they come through today. I'm going to keep an eye on them. But if you want to just pop in and say hi, that would be awesome. Let us know where you are in this world. So these lives we've created for the person who has feel like they're settling somewhere in their career. Maybe you are settling financially. Maybe you are settling in the position. Maybe you're just not happy. Maybe you know there's something different you're supposed to be doing or you want to be doing, but you don't know how to navigate that. Or maybe you're trying to go for the next promotion and you keep hitting a wall and you're tired and you're feeling exhausted and you want some new ways of doing things. Because here's the thing, a lot of what we've been doing in the past is no longer working anymore. Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Helen. Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for chiming in. So good to see you here. So these lives are perfect for you. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I want to mention that what we discovered since we had to postpone last week is we actually liked having the extra week in between. So moving forward, we're actually going to be doing the Career Doctors every second week. Because what we found was that having the space in between each call allowed people to reach out to us, ask questions, kind of share what some of their concerns were, and also to allow you to digest what we're talking about. We always give aligned action to give you time and space to process everything we're talking about and to take the action. I mean, Sonia and I are all about balancing that being and that doing. So we want to make sure you have enough time to be in that being space, just absorbing it, allowing new insights. Because often when we have that space and that time, that's when all the real gold nuggets come in. So we want to make sure you have that opportunity to let things seep in. So our next episode will be February 7th, same day of the week, same Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. Okay. So today's topic is a juicy one that Sonia and I cannot wait to dive in. It's all about getting over your money. We're going to call it crap or doo-doo, whatever it is. We're going to try to avoid using swear words. More for censorship. Not that we have anything against swear words, but so getting over your money crap. So say you're somebody who's wanted to make a career transition, but you can't or won't or don't want to. You feel fear around it because money, maybe you want to ask for a raise, but you're having some hesitation. Anywhere you're noticing that money is controlling a lot of your decisions. What we've done in this society, in our world, is we've given our power away to money. We really have. Money is important. And not for a moment do we ever want you to think after, watching this that Sonia and I don't think money's important. It's important to be strategic about money, to be smart about money. It's important, all these wonderful, beautiful things. However, what's happened is it's gone to the top of priorities and everything else is kind of like down here. It's not like it's here and there's a bunch of other priorities. It's like here and whoop, everything is down. So joy, fulfillment, all these things are down here and the gap is so large. And it's created a large imbalance. So we want to really talk about this in a really open and honest way. We're going to deep dive and we're going to be blunt AF because honestly, we're going to share. Both Sonia and I have done so much work around money. Not only do we both have financial backgrounds, so from the practical perspective, but also all the energetic, the mindset, everything around money. Because here's the thing, it's at least 80% of your money stuff is internal. At least, I'm going to argue probably 90% of it is. It's all our internal beliefs, our really our thoughts about it, the energy about it, everything we say, everything we do, all these things, they are creating our financial reality. The steps that we take to actually maybe at the point where you ask for a raise, that's just the very, very end point, like the very, very end point. There is so much work that comes before that. That's what we're going to dive into today. So if this is you, when you're going, I am so sick of this. And, Sonia and I, as we've shared before, her and I talk about these topics. It's coming up in client calls. It's coming up for a lot of people right now because they're really feeling the itch. They're feeling the itch. And a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, are knee deep in scarcity mindset right now. We're feeling it a lot. I'm not sure, what's in the energy right now, but it's definitely what her and I are both getting feedback from our clients and just from people in general. So this feels very timely. So before we dive in, I want to say, absolutely, you've got questions, please chime in. We have a Telegram group as well. Chime in there, ask questions afterwards, share any insights. And of course, you can always message Sonia or myself. We are open. And share your thoughts because it helps us. Remember, these are for you. So we want you to get the most out of the experience. Okay, so before we dive in, I want to set sort of a bit of a stage here, and I want you to have a shift right now if that's something you are open to. As I said at the beginning, this is not about a hate on money. This is not about we don't need money or, it's greedy to want money. In fact, it's the opposite. We want to shift more towards you being open to receive and actually having a healthy relationship with money. And there's a lot of programming around money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Gosh, I mean, I could go on and on about all the stories we've heard. But one thing in particular I want to actually mention here is something I read a number of years ago, and I can't remember who I read it from. I wish I could give credit to it, but it said that this is particular to women because women and men are actually given different messaging around money. And it said that women who, go after money or desire money are actually less liked. They're actually less liked. And I remember when I read that years ago, it made my stomach turn. I'm like, seriously? Like we're actually less liked. And most women are, our relationships are important to us. So how often do we give up our desire, our love, our need for money because we want to be liked? So I want to help shift that. And I want to help shift that right now. So instead of asking you a scale question, which we often do at this point of the live, I'm going to boldly declare something, and I'm going to really invite you and actually encourage you to boldly declare it too, because this is part of shifting our money crap. It's actually owning the fact, like, I love money. I want money. Thank you, Sonia. I love money. I want money. It gives me freedom. I like buying nice things. I like having experiences in life. I actually love money, and it actually motivates me. So I would say if you're in this, boldly declare, type a yes in the comments if that is you. Because we hide this part of us with, wanting money is greedy. All these stories, all this bull that we've been told and sold over the years. No, wanting money does not make you greedy. You can actually do great things in the world and want and love money at the same time. And in fact, if you want to do great things in the world and great things for yourself, you're going to need money. Thank you, Shelley. Yay. Kelly, yay. Yes. Helen. You know what I love I love that all three of you did it in caps with exclamation mark. We've got to own this. Like, we really have to own it. There's nothing wrong with loving money. So I'm so glad that you guys all chimed in. So, okay, I get so excited. So if we haven't met before, and actually the three ladies who are here live who have messaged, I know you all. But for those who don't know me, my name's Andrea Horvath. I am a career transition coach, and I help ambitious women figure out what career or business has their name and soul written all over it, and I help them make that transition. For me, it's all about leading a woman back to herself, helping her understand who she is, what she wants, her needs and her desires, her anchoring that in, which of course really helps her confidence, and then moving into something that really aligns and really feels good. I used to be a CPA in the corporate world. I shifted my career, became self employed, went through this whole process myself. And now I am deeply, deeply passionate about supporting them and do the same. I also want to mention this whole topic of money. It actually is something I have been working on for years. And I just want to mention a little bit about my background to the context of this conversation. I actually grew up I'll say very, very humble beginnings, putting it mildly, very humble. I mean, I always had food, but I did not come from a household where money was talked about in any healthy way. In fact, it was the opposite. There was a lot of arguing. My parents fought incessantly about money. Our house was almost repossessed at one point. I mean, I've got all the background of sort of a poverty consciousness background. So it's been something I've been deeply passionate about shifting it not only for myself, but for my daughters, like actually changing that lineage. And ironically, my major in university was economics, all about money. I became a CPA, all about money. And actually, I also did some financial planning. So my background in not only the mindset, energetic shift part of money, but also the logistical. I have seen it all. I have heard it all. I know the patterns that people fall into. I know where our blind spots are. So it really is something I'm deeply passionate about. And everything Sonia and I talk about today is stuff we've actually done. Like her and I both have, and she's going to share her background as well. This is stuff that's we've tried on. We don't actually ever share anything we don't do ourselves. So I just wanted to get that context to this conversation. So Sonia, take it away.
Thank you, Andrea. Well, for those of you who don't know me, it's great to be here. My name is Sonia Miller. I'm an empowerment coach and energy healing practitioner, and I help accomplished women who feel that they're meant for more to receive the big thing is to shift from settling to being sought after so they can finally get the acknowledgement, the promotions, and the opportunities that they've been working so hard for without wasting time and without working harder. And my background is also in finance. I have a business degree in finance specifically, and I was in the world of an institutional brokerage firm for 5 years, and I traded stocks and bonds, and I became an assistant vice president at the age of 24. So I was just like going for it. Like I was really coming from this desire to prove my self-worth and my value through what I could accomplish and what I could do. And so I took a very fast learning curve. And it was very interesting to be exposed to that world of literally, I remember, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but it's just interesting to see that the different dynamics. I would walk by homeless people on my way to work. I take the elevator and then I do a $25 million trade on the New York Stock Exchange. So I was looking at poverty and homelessness and then like ridiculous amounts of money at institutional levels. I also discovered that I was dying a spiritual death, and then I left that industry. That was my personal career shift. You don't have to leave to have career fulfillment, but for me, that's what it was. And then I embarked in this whole inner journey of understanding prosperity consciousness and money. And as I became a coach, professionally, I got exposed to the world of money by being president of a vineyard, co-founder, co-owner, and president of a vineyard with partners. So I learned about money through that business, an entrepreneur for many decades, and now as a coach for 25 years, as a single mom and navigating some really hard life experiences, death, divorce, dispute, single motherhood, running my business. And the thing that has really been the cherry on my sundae about some of the principles we're going to talk about today is, as a coach for 25 years, I have worked with this wide spectrum of people, literally as a social worker with migrant farm worker families who had nothing, and people who had, really check to check, all the way to people with this incredible net worth of 8 figures. And I'm a coach to all of these people, this wide spectrum. And the big takeaway for me from all of that was, it's not about the zeros. Money is rarely about money, at least the way we're going to talk about it today. Sure, there's lots of nuts and bolts, um, uh, you know, uh, tools that you need about how to manage it and care for it. But if we have money crap, money doo-doo that we still are dealing with, there's a whole other realm to tap into to feel empowered with your money reality. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I guess it's my turn. All right. So with that, with this live, and we have lots to talk about, we're going to address 3 keys. The first one is what money is and what money is not. The second key is getting honest about your relationship with money. And the third is how to reclaim your power from money. All right. So with that, I'm just going to dive into key number 1. Let's see. Cindy, money is a great tool to support your true passions. Yes. Thanks for being here. And again, any ahas, any insights, any, yeah, that's me. Please put them in the chat. It helps us to continue to, guide the conversation. So we're going to talk about key number 1, which is what money is and what money is not. And one of the things to build a little bit more about this inner world orientation around money is we were getting, Andrea specifically was getting quite a few DMs when we were going to do it last week, this show. And a lot of people were asking or talking about, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? It was a very doing oriented sort of questions. And that's very common. We want to take, when we have money issues, money doo-doo, we want to know what to do. It's the first question our brains ask. But what I want to say today about leading into what money is and what money is not is if you struggle with persistent money doo-doo in your world, okay, it's because what you've been doing isn't working. It's not about what you do. But what happens is when we don't know the alternative, we just keep trying either the same thing over and over again, or we keep doing more, working harder. But the money doo-doo that you're struggling with doesn't go away with more of the same. All right. So today's conversation, I'm going to invite you to be open to a paradigm shift, truly nothing less than a paradigm shift. And so with that paradigm shift, I'm going to give you a whole new way of looking at money. Okay. Money is not an object. Money is a relationship. And your money reality is a reflection of your relationship with money. So, what does that mean? Well, if you start looking at money instead of an object as a symbol for what money represents to you, then you can start to explore what your relationship with money is. So, for example, if money is a symbol of more freedom, like if I had more money, or if money was predictable, for entrepreneurs, we know about the unpredictability of money sometimes, cash flow and all kinds of business, if you're a business owner or you want to own a business, or let's say you're in corporate and you really are not happy, but your decisions about looking elsewhere or finding something fulfilling is difficult because you've got the golden handcuffs, right? So you don't feel free. You got a great job. You look great on paper, but the money situation is what binds you to something that makes you unhappy. Maybe more money or some sort of a financial change is really about feeling free or feeling trapped, right? So then that's what money actually means to you. For many of us, especially women, money is about safety and security. Okay. What is your relationship to feeling safe? If you feel unsafe, how much does that control you in what you're able to give yourself to the freedom to explore in terms of fulfillment with your career? For some of us, and for many of us, and this is legitimate, this is a legitimate physical world experience, is money is power. And this goes back to what Andrea was talking about, which is if we don't have a relationship with money where we love money, where we respect money, where we trust money to be there for us rather than become abandoned by money. If you have an experience of money comes into my life, but it doesn't stay, your relationship has an abandonment orientation, right? All of that is happening in your being, not your doing, your inner world, right? And when we feel like we have more money, we love money, we can actually open up to receiving more money. Money gives us power to make choices, to, serve our mission, to circulate more abundance through the people that we hire. So I would invite people who are here listening, as you're listening, what does money represent to you? And put that in the chat. What is it a symbol of? So that's one of the main ideas for today. The other thing to know about money is this. When we have money doo-doo, when we're experiencing money doo-doo, really struggling with the crap, it's important to know that many, many, many times, money itself is not the problem. It's actually a symptom of something deeper. And if you don't tease that out, you're going to keep dealing with the symptom, but never get to the root cause. And that's what causes persistent money doo-doo. Okay. So that is what I wanted to offer around what money is and is not. And Andrea, what would you like to add to that? What do you think?
So good. And Kelly, thank you for commenting on security. And yes, that is absolutely, that was actually the first point I was going to talk about, is that safety and security piece. And unfortunately, what we do is and I mean, I've done it. I am very open that I stayed in my career far too long, and it was because of money. Of course it was, right? It was single parent, right? So it's it's like, it's the reality, right? It's what a lot of us experience. However, when we give all our safety and security to money, as you say, what we actually do is we give all our power over to money. Like, we literally just hand it to it on, safety. And I always say safety and security must come from within. And, we'll talk about how to do that later, but it absolutely must come from within. And I had a second thought, but I got totally distracted on that, the safety and security. It'll probably pop up back later. Yeah, I hope it'll come back later, but no, you can continue on, Sonia. It sounds awesome.
Okay, I know it'll come back because this is juicy. All right, so let's go into key number 2, which is get honest about your relationship with money. Okay, most of us operate in a state of reactivity. If we're struggling with our money doo-doo, we are struggling with operating from reactivity and not being really aware. So one of the first things that helps you get over your money crap is to get honest about your relationship with money as it is. And I know, just from working with so many people and even my own journey, I had to get honest about how I was just avoiding it. There were places in some ways I was really empowered, but there were still places that I was sticking my head in the sand and I just didn't want to look at things. So it takes courage. It takes bravery, but if you want to empower your relationship with money, honesty is the first piece. So gentleness, compassion, just be willing. Willingness starts to open the door. Let's see what Cindy says. How can we help people know that using some of their money to self-invest is a must and the best thing to do, that buying a book, taking a course, or retreat is a true solid investment? We're actually going to talk about that. So great question, Cindy. Stay tuned for that. All right. So getting honest with our relationship with money. The first thing is literally give yourself the opportunity to think of money as a person. Personify money. All right. And imagine that if money were a person, how would you describe that relationship? So in a relationship, I always like to say there's 3 entities. There's you, there's the other person, and then there's the experience of the relationship. It's like a triangle. Okay. So there's you, there's money, and there's this experience that you have with money. So you can start asking yourself questions like, how am I treating money? How am I showing up with money? Do I have respect for money? Do I love money? Do I hate money? Right? Ask yourself how you are in relationship. Also ask yourself, how is money showing up for me? Does it come in but never sticks around? Right? Is it just giving me breadcrumbs? Right? Is it ghosting me? Right? How is that person showing up for you? Right? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. And I'll start with, I want to make sure we have enough time, but I really want to talk about a a really powerful example in my own life. When I started to do my money consciousness work, and this was many decades ago, and I was starting to look at money as a relationship, I had this epiphany one day, and that was that I was showing up with money by always telling it, you're not enough, you're not enough, you're never enough, you're never enough, you're never enough. And when I thought about a relationship, I thought about how I would feel if somebody was constantly telling me I was never enough. Do you think that I would want to be generous? Do you think that I'd want to open myself and give more and be available? No, I would be holding back. It's like, this is not a fun place for me to be. And our consciousness creates our reality, right? We talked all about the doing stuff, but the being stuff is getting in touch with your feelings, your experiences, your inner world, your consciousness, getting honest about that. Another one, which was a huge, the quantum leap that I took with money when I realized this was mind blowing. So the bottom line is this: I had an abandonment lens, and we all grow up with messaging, conscious and unconscious, that impacts our relationship with money. So Andrea was talking about, you were talking about your upbringing, and my upbringing was what it was. But later on, I had some really hard challenges later on in life. So this lens of abandonment, I realized, oh, I project that onto everything. I project that onto clients. I think clients will abandon me. I used to, or sales will abandon me, or even, the divine love of the universe. And I would get a horrible illness. Like, I was expecting abandonment. And so I expected money to abandon me. And then when I was going through this process of opening up to more flow and having a very conscious relationship with money, I realized in a journaling exercise that one day I panicked around money, and I went off into do mode and work really, really, really hard and make some money. And I had literally just stepped away from all of my inner work. I just shut down, got in survival mode, do. And then one day, a few months later, I came back to my journaling, my inner work. And I realized that everything I had wanted, money had shown up for me. And in that moment, I realized, oh, I was the abandoner. I turned my back on this relationship. I said, I don't need to talk to you. I'm going to go figure it out myself. I went into survival mode. So these are ways that you can start exploring your relationship with money. And once you're aware, once you get honest, that's where you start to reclaim your power. So Andrea, what's standing out for you about this one?
So good, so good. No, and the relationship part, how I've looked at it and grown to look at it, it's, if I was usually I go to the romantic relations, but it could be a friendship. Like, imagine if you were in a partnership with somebody and like you said, Sonia, say I didn't trust money to be there, okay? Which is a lot of what people have, is there's a lack of trust that money is going to be there. Well, if you're that person, if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't trust you, what do? Do you stick around?
Right.
Do you engage fully? Do you lean in? Do you feel safe? Right. So that's how I started to shift my perspectives. Like, how would I be if I was if I was that other person, and how am I treating it? It came from a little bit of a different lens, but no, I'd run for the hills. If somebody didn't trust me, I'm just like, I'm not going to try to convince you of it. Or if I was always resenting, like you said, resenting somebody, well, they're not going to stick around. But yet, isn't that what we do? We resent money. We resent money because we've given our power away to it. Yet we are the ones that are doing it. And so when I think about the whole, for me also, the whole safety and security thing, that's evolved a lot for me, especially since being an entrepreneur, because your income is less, like, it's not like a paycheck, right? And it's really interesting for those of you who are in corporate. When you become an entrepreneur, you face all the stuff that you've been able to avoid in corporate. It's kind of interesting how this goes, because you've got this paycheck when you're in corporate, and you've got money stuff around it. Like, you do. Like, if you're on this line, you've got some money stuff. However, when you become an entrepreneur, it's like in your face, and you have to face it. Like, you literally have to face it, because if you don't, here's the thing. This is the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship. is you realize how much of it is your energy and mindset. It is, I'd say, like 90% of it. That is one of the beautiful things. In corporate, you can't see it because you still guaranteed this paycheck. So you may have to dig a little bit deeper is kind of the point I'm getting to, like, because corporate, it almost creates this, it's like a bit of a shield almost. Like it just shields you against what your actual reality is. Yet, if you're not getting the raises you want, if you're not getting the promotions you want, if you're not taking the steps that you want, you do have stuff there. You do have doo-doo there. Sorry, I couldn't resist. You do have stuff there. And so one of the things that when I looked at my relationship with money is what we also do is we project into the future. How am I going to be in a year's time? How am I going to be in 6 months' time? Am I going to have enough money in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years? And we go way into the future. And all that does is project fear into the future, which again, fear creates more fear. You just create a fearful reality. There's more scarcity and you don't actually ever shift. So in terms of, reaching safety and security, something that I've really, really done since becoming an entrepreneur. And again, it's not about, well, I'm just going to say it first because it could trigger some people, but I'm just going to bluntly and boldly say it because it needs to be said. Is in this moment of now, I am safe. In this moment of now, I have a roof over my head. In this moment of now, I have food in my fridge. That's where my safety comes from. It's not from wondering where I'm going to get my next client or a year from now where my business is going to be. You create your reality in this moment of now. And in this moment of now, do you have everything you need? Like, honestly, do you have everything you need? Yes or no? That is one of the most powerful places. And again, it's not about not wanting money or saying that it's okay just to have enough. That's not it at all. What it actually, because I think that's where people can go. They can go, well, it's not enough just to have a roof over my head. I want more. That's great. However, if you want to feel safe and secure in this moment of now, feel safe and secure in your body, in your reality, in your existence, in your consciousness right now. Affirm to yourself, I am safe right now. And how is that money in that relationship going to feel about you? It's going to relax too. It's not going to be all angst and running for the hills and abandoning you and doing all this stuff. It's going, this person's actually relaxed. Okay, we're good. We can work with this relationship. And it's that relaxed energy where you can start to create more abundance and start taking those action steps, right? So yeah, Sonia, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think what you just said was so important about your now consciousness. And here's one of the ways I love to talk about it is you literally manifest your your consciousness creates your reality, but it's not based on what you focus upon. It's how you're focusing on what you're focusing upon. So if you are in a state of wanting, you're going to manifest wanting. If you're in a state of having, you're going to manifest more having. It's truly mathematical. All right. The life and your experience, your relationship with money reflects your relationship to how you're seeing money. And so this ability to right now, I have safety and security, that is what you manifest. So it's a very, your greatest power in the inner game is training your awareness. And when you have gravity, that's the consciousness of havingness. When you have gravity, when you have gratitude, it's the consciousness of havingness. And when you're all you can see, like you said, you're lost in what's fiction, like you're in the future, that's fiction. That's not what's happening right now. You're just going to manifest more of that. So that was a really great point.
Thank you. Yeah. And it really, you're 100% right. I think we have been taught, yes, you do manifest what you focus on, but it does go deeper than that. Like you said, it's not just, I want more money, but then you're scared. It's the fear that you're actually projecting, and it's actually going to create more fear. So it's a little more complex, a little bit deeper than I think what a lot of people will say. Just, whatever you focus on, you create. Doesn't quite work that way. It's how you feel about it. And yeah, feeling safe in this moment will create more safety moving forward. And I'm going to tell you, like I said, at first when I was um, guided to do this, like to try that exercise in this moment, it kind of triggered me because it's kind of like, but I want that. I want that other thing, right? And it kind of triggered me a little bit. But then I felt into it. I am safe now. And listen to your body when you say that, because that's the key. You should start to relax. Like that's what you actually want, your whole body to actually relax into this moment. Because guess what also happens when your body relaxes and your nervous system, because our nervous systems when it comes to money are just fried. Like for a lot of people, this world is, we're surrounded by scarcity mindset. Just flip on the news. Our nervous systems are so geared towards lack, loss, losing jobs, all this kind of thing. So going into that place of safety, watch how your body relaxes, because that's what you really want, your nervous system to start to relax into the fact you're safe now. Because guess what? What happens then, all kind of brain science you can look into, then you start to make decisions differently. You start to see opportunities differently. Things just are clearer. When you're in that fight or flight panic, I'm lacking, I'm doing all this, you actually make decisions based on fear, which only create more of that scarcity and lack moving forward. So there's so many different levels, there's so many different ways we can come at this to say like this is what needs to happen. It's like calm your body down, calm your nervous down, slow your breathing down. If you find you're in a moment of panic about money, literally stop, disconnect from what you're doing and just breathe slowly. And just, I always do this if I really want to, like, if my nervous system's up there about panic about money or something, or any situation, it's like just I connect to my heart and just breathe. I'm safe. I actually am safe right now. That's the energy to move forward. So before I move on, I've got some comments here. Brian said controlling. I'm not sure what that was.
That was about the kind of relationship that we
Yeah.
currently
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely. Money can,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really
100%.
great. Really
Very
great.
interesting perspective. So good. Scarcity mindset. So true. Yeah. Yeah. It's, and you guys, it is so rampant. Like I said, you literally turn, and this is what we're going to talk about next, is honestly, it's everywhere. Interest rates are rising. Recession is coming. Like it is, we are being bombarded with scarcity around us. So to do this work, it's a bit rebellious. I always say that when you're going against the norm, but it takes that courage. It takes trying something different and new, right? Because as you said, if you're here on this call, like what you've been doing isn't working. If you've got money, do. We all still do. I mean, I've worked through a lot of mine, but I know there's still stuff. I know I have more work to do, right? We're working against a really in the media in so many ways, and so many companies that are really, really, really imposing more of that scarcity mindset. Okay.
Mhm.
So number 3, anything you want to add before I go into number 3?
Yeah, just one thing, because this control energy and what you're talking about with the, economy and news and all of that stuff. I just really, it's so great to have people here, and I'm glad this is resonating, because money is a portal to your power when you embrace this relationship. And it's actually, especially with everything that's happening in the world and what we're being bombarded with, is you have an opportunity to understand the difference between control and power. And the question that's always driven me in all the work that I do is, how do you feel powerful when you have no control? Now more than ever, the messages are reinforcing that there's no illusion of control. And the way you feel powerful is to embrace this paradigm, which is an inner world orientation to everything that's happening in the outer world, money, career, all of that. This is what starts to allow you to tap into sovereignty, where your power is independent of the conditions and the people and things, situations in your world. It's really a powerful shift.
That was brilliant. And what you said, the illusion. It is an illusion.
Mhm,
And we grasp it. And Brian, I can so relate. Money controlled me
mhm.
100%. And it controls most of us.
Yeah.
It really does. And I'm just going to bring a real quick example of where I've seen that in my work, how much we don't see it, how much it controls us. So, and before I go into point number 3, but this is a great conversation, and I just want to really shed some light on this. So, I'm a career transition coach, right? And a lot of people come to me to talk about, how they're not happy in their companies and their careers and everything else, right? So, I'm really in this world, and there's a lot of complaints, and justifiably so, that companies only care about the bottom line. I mean, how we ever not heard about this the last few years, right? Just layoffs being ruthlessly done over Zoom calls, and just all about the money. It's all about the mighty dollar. And people are rightfully so upset about it. Like, this isn't fun. I don't love working in a company that only cares about money. And it's made money this all encompassing, powerful thing. But this is what we don't see, is we've done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We all do the same thing. When we stay in a job we hate because of money, we're doing the exact same thing. We're giving all our power. It's making money the most important thing. It can be anywhere. When you stay in a marriage because of money. I mean, I know when I got divorced, I had so many women reach out to me. This is many years ago. I'm only in my marriage because of money. And it's not to say that's not a real and valid concern. However, we complain that this world is being dominated by money and it's being controlled by money, yet we all do it. Every time you give up your values, your ethics for money, money is controlling you. Like, we do it everywhere and all the time. And so that's something I wanted to bring up, that I've just had this awareness over the last couple of years, that we do the exact same thing we complain about. And we all do it. There is never judgment here on anything that I do. I've done it 100%. I own that I've done that. And that's where we need to start to shift, because we're doing the exact same thing that we don't like seeing happen outside of us. So we are the ones that need to shift first, because the outside world's not going to shift for us. We actually need to make the shift. Okay. I'm looking at the time. I knew this would be a hard press to get within an hour. Okay. Any out of that phase? Awesome. That would be awesome, Brian. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I'm out of so much of that too, but I think it's like we're always just getting a little bit better, right? But there's big hurdles and quantum leaps that we can absolutely make, right? Okay, so how to reclaim your power from money. Okay. We've actually talked about a number of things already, but I want to share something with you. One of my biggest shifts that I had around money was first year university. And I was taking a macroeconomics course. And like I said, my major in university was economics. My instructor's name was Herbert Grubel. And I don't normally remember instructors' names, but this guy had a profound effect on me. And so he was talking about the economy and interest rates, all these macroeconomics topics. And he was fascinated. I was just enthralled with what he was teaching. But he basically explained and said, recessions are created by us. They're not something that happens outside of us. They're actually created by us. And he explained how it actually happens. He said, what happens is, something happens in the world, in the economy, something twitches, right? Something shifts. That's not necessarily a good thing. And he says, then what happens is all the news media picks it up and it starts talking about it. And what it does is it starts to instill fear in people. And he said, it's actually that fear that actually creates the recession. Everything that happens around that is because people stop buying, they stop, feeling empowered, they go into scarcity mindset, and that is actually what creates recessions. It's not something outside of us. It's all of us responding and reacting to external information and deciding it has meaning for us, when in truth, it may have zero meaning for us. So one of the first things you can do to reclaim your power is actually stay in your own lane when it comes to your own personal financial situation. So, we hear like people losing jobs and I mean, it's the truth. It's reality. It's not like it's not there. It's not like we're denying it's there. That is the truth. However, you can choose, and it is your conscious choice. It needs to be a conscious choice, not just a reaction, to actually buy into that reality for yourself. So, the reason why I say this man had such a profound effect on me is because, first of all, he changed how I responded to the economy forevermore. Like whatever I heard on the news, completely changed. I stopped responding. Second thing was he actually was teaching me about manifestation, which I had no idea about at the time. Only began to realize it years later. So in my lifetime, I've been let go. I've lost my job. I've worked through um, downturns in the economy. I have never had a problem getting a job. Doesn't matter what the economy's doing. I have never I've been able to just keep going. I don't ever quote unquote buy into what's going on around me. And I've shared this before in sort of more private, I think in my email group. But 2023, the very last quarter, was the best quarter in my business. And I'm sharing that now. And I don't love sharing how much I make on social media and out in this, but this is also, for me, this is also about us like owning our money stories and owning our stuff. And the reason why I share that is because it's so important. If you watch the news, and if I listened to the news and I went, oh my God, people aren't buying coaching, people aren't leaving their jobs, they don't want to make a transition, I would have not had that success that I had in Q4. Full stop. And I tell you this because it's important. We need to stay in our own lane. You need to decide for yourself what is going to be your financial reality and not listen to all the garbage out there, because the garbage out there is going to lead you down the road of scarcity. And, it's interesting because my realtor told me this many years ago and it stuck with me. It's funny how these stories stick with you. He had told me he had the best year ever in 2008 or 2009 or whatever. Everybody else was, realtors were, hanging in their, giving in their licenses and everything else. It's like, no, I had my best year ever. We got to stop letting this outside world determine our financial reality. And I want to bring up one other really important key. So I said I did some financial planning a few years ago, which was a real eye opener for me. Because I've always been a person who pays off my credit. I don't love a lot of debt. I'm fairly conservative when it comes to my cash reserves and all these things, right? I grew up in a household that was the complete opposite. So I think I've gone the other way and made sure I've always had reserves and all that kind of stuff, right? However, when I did financial planning, I was quite alarmed at the magnitude of debt, how people were paycheck to paycheck. And these are not people making $50,000 a year. This is people making $300,000, $400,000 a year. But the economy was good, so they weren't worried about it. Like, honestly, there was no fear. There's nothing in it. They're just kind of going along. And, we look at the situation we're now in the world where people have lost their job, interest rates are up, inflation's been up, and everybody's panicking. Well, we look at what we've done in the past. So the point of this is people respond. So they were okay with going into debt because they were told the economy was good. Well, how is that okay too? That's not really okay either. And so it's stop listening to all these stories around here of deciding where you should be and what you should do, and actually just tap into yourself and say, what do I want? How do I want to move forward? What do I want to create for my reality? And stay in your own lane. So yeah, go ahead. I know I went on a rant there, but
okay. Well, I'm gonna let you read some of the comments we've got because I want to make sure that we keep going with this important topic about back to this key is how to reclaim your power from money. I wanted to share. So I have one of my specialties is as an empowerment coach is relationships, and so I studied relationship in depth, both therapeutically and in an organization. And there was one teaching that was so powerful. And it's this: you'll never allow someone to love you more than you love yourself. And so in a relationship with money, you will never allow money to show up for you more generously, more consistently, more predictably, then you show up generously, consistently, and predictably for yourself. So let's say, and this actually is something I wanted to offer Cindy, your question about how do you get people to invest in themselves or see the value of investing in themselves. The question is to ask yourself, where maybe have you not seen a holdback on where you're willing to invest in yourself? And it might not be money, it might be time, it might be a different way of investing yourself. But if you want others to invest in you through compensation package, through giving you a raise, through finding clients, if you don't invest in you, others won't invest in you. You'll never allow someone to invest more in you than you're willing to invest in yourself. If you want people to take a risk on you, if you're not willing to take a risk on you, others won't take a risk on you. If you want other people to choose you, if you don't choose yourself first, if you don't really choose yourself, your happiness, your fulfillment, whatever it is, others will not choose you. Back to, it's mathematical. It has to equal, right? 1 + 1 does not equal 5. You can't expect life to show up for you. And you talked about this too, Andrea, about like, we blame the world, corporate America, those who make the bottom line the most important thing. Well, if we make the bottom line the most important thing in our lives, if we want our companies to value us, where are we valuing and not valuing ourselves? So one of the ways to reclaim your power from money is just look at the mirror reflection. And when you're pointing your finger and saying, well, they, ask, where am I doing that with myself? That is where power just starts to shift internally. There's another thing, and this is actually a response to a question that somebody posted in the comments in preparation for this episode around how to reclaim your power. The question was, how can we overcome the power of money in our career decisions? And this is so very powerful. The first thing is, know that your job is not your source of money. Okay, life is your source. Whatever your spiritual, metaphysical, scientific, quantum field orientation is, okay, life is one energy. And we are part of life. We're not separate from life. We're a part of it, right? So your job, your business, your clients, your sales, your alimony, your credit cards, none of that is your source. There is one source, which is life itself, and infinite channels. So think about water on our planet, okay? There's the ocean, there's the atmosphere, right? When one stream dries up, that wasn't our source. There's going to be water elsewhere. Our opportunity to reclaim our power is to know that our jobs are not our source. None of these individual channels are, and then open up to money coming from anywhere. Now, this takes some training, because when we have had one orientation towards money, it's like, got to get the sale, got to get the sale, got to get the sale. I've worked with so many salespeople who are always stuck in the next quota, the next quota, the next, always in scarcity, always in do mode. They start to open up to life providing, and the giant accounts just come in. They just come in, right? Things come in out of nowhere. So that's one part. And the other part is, let's see. Oh, when you are starting to want to open up to more money, but you're also looking at career choices, see if you can separate money from the work. Okay. Look at them as two separate things, because the minute you say, it's all like my job is my source, then money and job, it all gets tangled up. It's very enmeshed, and you can't open up to the freedom. So when you're exploring a fulfilling job, just don't worry about the money. Just look at what would be fulfilling. And then when you're wanting to expand your money reality towards something more empowering, be willing to let life be your source and open up to it coming from anywhere. And I'll tell you that when I went through, I call it the crash and burn period of my life. It was a really hard, and I have so much reverence for it now, because it's allowed me to understand empowerment at a whole new level. Again, I went through my mother's death, divorce, a lawsuit, and now I'm moving into single parenting for my kids. And you can imagine the scarcity, the security, talk about like being confronted with this kind of stuff. And I remember I knew enough about one source infinite channels. And I remember talking to life in my prayers. And I said, look, if I'm supposed to be a coach after what my life looks like right now, tell me, because I'm starting to question if I'm even supposed to do that. I thought my credibility was based on what my life looked like as a vineyard owner, et cetera, et cetera. And so, and all of these other outer, we can look really good on paper, but I have seen behind the curtain after many decades of working with many clients. We look great on paper. Meanwhile, we have all of this shame and this scarcity and this fear and this stress about money, right? So I was now going through it and I thought, okay, I'm going to keep showing up for these calls. And life, you take care of the money, you pay the bills, you deal with the lawyers, you deal with the kids. And as I showed up to be of service, my clients kept telling me, I have never felt you more powerful. There was a level of fulfillment that was coming through when I didn't attach it to the money. And meanwhile, this is what happened. The worst year of my life was the best year of my financial life. I broke six figures that year. And I didn't even know it because I didn't have the bandwidth to look. So when you separate work from money and have different separate relationships with those, and money can come from anywhere, you start to reclaim your power from having money define your career decisions. That's what I got.
So good. And it reminded me that how you feel about life overall has such a massive impact on finances. And again, you don't see this in corporate because you've got this steady paycheck. However, being an entrepreneur, the months I'm the happiest, I make the most money. And you think, well, you're happy because you're making money. No, no, no. It's happiness first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's joy, because when you do that, you open, like you said, you just open up.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, literally, when people will book a call with me, book a sales call with me, we'll hop on and they'll be like, yeah, and they'll just like hire me on the spot. And I won't know where they came from, who they were. They will have not been in my reality. And I'll have been at the beach that day and they booked a call.
I have to share something, Andrea, because this is so
Yeah.
like this time as the single motherhood stress, I got 2 tithe checks in the mail, one from Finland for $2,500. And then I got a royalty check for my book for $4,700 from them. I mean, like the money was coming from, I couldn't even believe where the money was coming from. But I'm telling you, one source, infinite channels. It's just about opening up from narrow.
Yeah.
Enjoying your life.
Enjoying your life and being, and as you talk about, which you talk about so beautifully so often, is just being open to receive. And it really is, it's an opening of your whole body. I mean, honestly, I notice if I'm starting to get in scarcity, like I'll start to, like, if you look at your body, our body is always giving us signs. If you're in scarcity, you start to tighten up, and like I know I'll start to tower over. I'll start to slouch, and that's when we go into scarcity and lack.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not trusting that these infinite channels are going to provide for us. Right. And so literally, shoulders back, head high, put on some music. I don't know, shake it off. Like dance it out. Right. It's one of the things I love about yoga is because just the poses, it opens you up to the abundance that's actually always there. And that's the key, is recognizing it's always there.
Right.
It's there. We think it's not there, but it is always, always there. It's us that's blocking it off.
Yeah.
By so many different ways. And like, I'm looking at the time. I think we could go on, but it's an hour and we probably should wrap it up. I almost feel like we need a part 2 or to carry this conversation. So yeah, if you're enjoying this conversation, come on over to Telegram. And if we feel a need to continue this, we're happy to do that. So we want to give you an awareness exercise and an aligned action. So the awareness exercise is probably not one that will surprise you. Is sit down and think about your relationship with money. How have you been treating it? How do you feel about it? What are the messages? Like, what are the messages that you're giving money about how much you value it, how much you honor it? And really also think about, like, if I was in a relationship, with myself, if I was money, how would I feel about me? Would I want to be around in this relationship? Would I feel safe? Would I feel honored, respected, all those things? And then, so in terms of then the aligned action, write this all out. Create the space and time for yourself, really honor yourself, because this is a powerful exercise. Having this awareness is going to be huge. If you write it all out, everything, and honestly, burn it. Burn it. Let's get rid of that. Let's clear the past. Like, there's something really powerful about doing that, because it's like a declaration, like, I am done with this. We're going to let the universe transmute this energy, transmute how it's been, and then sit in that space and think, well, how do I want to feel about money? How do I want my relationship to be? Like Sonia talked about that triangle, you and money, and how do you want to work together, to come together and actually create more abundance for yourself? And write that out. And I mean, I do this when I've been making big shifts, especially on money. You know what? I post-it notes all around my house. Like, I really will. Like, post-it notes say something like, I am safe. Like, I am safe and secure. Like, you can literally post them everywhere. Sounds silly, but you know what? I am of the thought that if you want to transform, who cares? Like, I don't really care if I look silly anymore. Like, for me, I want abundance. I want joy, all those things. And I'm willing to do what I want, what I need to do. So if you feel called, throw post-its around, but at least at a minimum, write it all down and really sit with it. So that would be the aligned action. So yeah.
Great. Well, with that, we're going to start wrapping it up. Thanks to everyone who was here live, your comments. Cindy, energy is the true currency. Absolutely. Brian, thank you too, all of you. So as we wrap it up, we want your feedback. We are here for you. And so if you want us to have a conversation on any other topic or do a part 2, let us know. Let us know what questions, what are still arising for you, where you'd like us to go deeper. DM, comment here. We'll be checking in all of those inboxes. Also, we have a Telegram career group. Let us know about that. And career docs. Yeah, the career docs group on Telegram. If you'd like to join, we can go deep in the conversation there. And come back for episode number 8. We are going to be talking about how to blast open the doors to opportunities. We talked about being open, how to blast the doors open because they are already here. Life always offers kindness. No, life is not always kind, but it always offers kindness if you can receive it. So this will be February 7th in 2 weeks. We got 2 weeks to digest and have more conversations, and we'd love to see you there. Remember, as you show up for yourself, next steps will show up for you. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.